It has been over a year since I last messed around with Freminet, so I figured it's probably about time that we try to make him do more damage than he did last time, which realistically shouldn't be that bad because I'm pretty sure the most damage I saw out of him last video was like 11,000. I also, in the last video, didn't really touch his physical build very much, so I'm going to have a look at physical this video, but I also want to try something a little bit silly, and I want to see if I can do some like nuke damage with his burst, I think, because the initial hit of his burst can do a bit of damage. I also want to mess around with the freeze reaction and see if I can just sort of tidy up his build a little bit more than what it was in the last video. He is obviously at level 90 and his talents are 7, 8, and 6. I wouldn't mind getting them up, which, Jesus, I can craft 121. I could probably do that. I think what I would do is prioritize his normal attack, or not. Apparently his skill is priority. So I think what I'll do then is I'll get his skill up to level 9, then get his normal attack to whatever I can, and finally his burst, so that we can get the talents to a decent level, and then I can work on his artifacts and weapons, which actually, I believe this is probably the best we can get for him for a physical build. I could be wrong about that, but I think this is our best option for physical. And for just normal damage, I guess probably, I mean, that could work, the Tidal Shadow, because we'll be on a team with healers, so that would probably work. This would also probably work. So I'd say physical will run this, and for everything else, I'll run this. But they obviously need to be leveled up, so we'll work on that as well. So there you go. That is your skill up to 9. And then I'll have a look at his normal attack. And I guess I'll hear also his weapon. Although I'm going to need these, and there's a good chance I'm not going to have enough of them. So he might not actually be able to get any more of his talents done, because I don't have any dream solvents either. Okay, well, let's look at his weapon, and then we'll get back to the boss drops. Do I have enough of this? No, I do not. Is it open today? Ooh, it is. Perfect. Okay, let's do a run in there. And then I guess I'm going to have to go to a run of the weekly boss drop. I brought a horrendous team into here and hope that we can get enough drops from the weekly boss to get his normal attack up to level 9. Otherwise, I will just have to get it to wherever we can. And I would like to get his burst up as well, but I don't think I'm going to have the resources for that. What the hell is happening with my ping right now? Why is everything so slow? But yeah, oh my god, that ping's really bad today. Like, it's taking us a good solid couple seconds to swap characters. That's odd, considering I'm only at 280 ping. Normally that wouldn't happen at 280 ping. And also, you probably can't hear it, but I am just on the edge of being sick. So this video will probably be a little bit shorter, as I don't know if my voice will make it through the whole video. But there is 2 runs down in there, and I think that should be enough to craft all of Freminet's stuff for his weapon. So let's get this weapon up to level 90, and then I'll swap him over to the other weapon, and we'll get that up to level 90 as well. We aren't even gonna have remotely enough stuff for this. That's fun. Okay, well, I will go farm a few more of these, and his weekly boss, and hopefully after that we can get his normal attack up to level 9, and that weapon up to level 90 as well. Okay, so after doing some farming and boss runs, we can now bring this weapon up to level 90. There we go. And I did run all 3 of the weekly bosses, and I was unfortunately only able to get 2 of these. So we'll get the normal attack up to level 8. And I guess we could probably get the burst up to level 7. Unfortunately, no dream solvent, so we can't go any further with that. Which means now we just throw them on the artifacts that I want to use, and that's about it. The rest of the teams are all built because Freminet is like the only unbuilt character on this account aside from Hydro Traveler. We're going to start off with this Freeze team, I reckon. In which case, I think our best bet is probably Blizzard Strayer, I'd say. I don't think I'd have very good pieces on Blizzard. I could use Golden Troop or Marachose. Marachose will increase the normal charge attack damage a bit, which probably isn't bad. And Golden Troop will increase his skill damage. So I think I'm going to try Golden Troop to start off with. I will probably try to strongbox up some of the Blizzard Strayer pieces because I feel like that'd be pretty good. I'm going to probably yoink Risley's piece for cryo damage because it is quite good. And then I'll run him on crit rate, definitely. Run him on a crit rate circlet. While it might not be the best build for him, he sits at over 2,000 attack and a 54 to 151, which is pretty terrible crit ratios really, but that's fine. This is also the first team I'm going to run. I feel like it should be pretty decent. So now I'm going to go over to the Pyro Regisfine like I did in the first video and see how this team does. I'll probably also try him out on Marachose because I feel like that could also be half decent. Then get a Blizzard Strayer set going and try out the same team on that. And then we'll swap over to my Nuke, I guess, style team, which will be with Pyro characters and doing Melt. And then finally Physical. Now for Rena, we're going to need to turn you off. Thank you. Was that a 42,000? That seems quite large. I'm going to go grab his burst up and then try a more difficult enemy because that one's pretty squishy. 42,000 I think there was, yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, there's a 22 there with basically no buffing. That seems way too good because in my last video, I did, what, 11,000, maybe a 12,000? And now all of a sudden, 42,000. Let's go over to this dude again and try this out with his burst. And because this dude is a little bit more tanky, I can leave Farina's skill up. We want to use Freminet burst. That does 36,000 and then 37,000. There's 10,000s off there, 29,000s. And then in physical, we see 10,000 for physicals. But yeah, there's some pretty big damage actually happening. That's quite surprising, to be honest. Let's try this with a Marachose and see what that does. I mean, from that, if we go full burst damage, we could potentially even see 100k. Boom, 31,000, 8,000, 21,000, 21. Yeah, okay, a little bit less, I think. Yeah, very consistent 21,000s, but a little bit less damage with Marachose over Golden Troop. So far, Golden Troop is definitely our best option, but now I am going to go Strongbox up some Blizzard Strayer. I don't imagine we're going to get very good pieces with a full Blizzard Strayer set on him now. He now has 2,000 attack, 64 to 119, which is quite low, but if I was to swap him off a crit rate circlet, he would have 30 crit rate, which is not very good, and I don't even have a crit damage circlet anyway. So now let's go do a Blizzard Strayer run here. Boom, 26,000. Burst does 40,000. And we see another 26,000, 10,000s, 30,000 potentially there, 22,000. And that was an 8,000 off the physical. Okay, we one cycled kind of that boss. 40,000 I think I saw from the burst, which is pretty good. I don't quite think it is as much as Golden Troop. I mean, we're going to have better crit ratios, 50 to 157. So potentially just because of the better crit ratio, it will do more damage. Also, as a random side note, my Freminet is only C1 at the moment, which does actually increase the crit rate of whatever that is. This part of his skill, that increases the crit rate of that. So, I mean, we still want more than 50 crit rate, but we are getting 65 effectively from that. Also, now that I remember, because I forget how Blizzard Strayer even works, we will get more crit rate from that. Plus, we also get more crit rate because double cryo. So, probably would be in our best interest with our current stats to run Blizzard Strayer just for the more crit rate. Although we also don't get incredible crit damage when I run Blizzard. So now that is all I want to try out with the freeze team. So I'm going to swap him over and try out burst damage team and see what we can do there. I reckon Blizzard Strayer and then Noblesse for elemental burst damage and cryo damage, and then see how much damage we can do on a melt from his burst. Can you roll into anything aside from energy recharge, please? Not the stat I wanted. We are definitely looking at another one. We don't have another one of them. Okay, actually no, I'm gonna swap into a Noblesse flower. That's a Blizzard Strayer flower. We'll do that. That's also Blizzard Strayer. That rolled much nicer, except for the defense, but that's fine. So Noblesse, Blizzard off piece. This will have to be Noblesse. Please say I have something good here. I have crit damage, main stat with crit rate. Let's try it. Hopefully we can still get enough crit rate from this. That didn't roll too bad. So Noblesse, Blizzard, 2,000 attack, 50 to 168. It's a bit low on the crit rate, but I guess it should be fine. So for this team, I think we're going to run this, but I could potentially swap out Linny or Chevrolet for a Charlotte. So we get the double cryo, and then we get 15% extra crit rate, which would bring us up to 65, which is a lot better. So I think I'm going to do that. because Chevreuse will have more buffing potential, seeing as she's on full noblesse over Linny. So let's have a look at this full melt damage build. Charlotte is only really here for, I guess, healing and the double cryo, so we're not really going to use her. But let's have a look. Charlotte. Then we're going to swirl that cryo. We're going to not do that. Chevreuse. And then boom. 48,000. Okay. Almost 50,000. Not quite, but it was almost 50,000 and was in 21,000s there. I mean, a lot better than I was expecting and a lot more than we did last video. Which means now we have hit 48,000 on his nuke team. We've done 40,000s and like 30,000s, 20,000s with the normal attacks and stuff, and this skill from the freeze team. So that just leaves us with the physical team. Now I imagine for this, because of the way physical works and we want superconducts, I think, that is probably not a bad option. And then we just throw in someone else, I guess. We'll put Lynette in there because then we can at least swirl something and get some form of consistent elements or something. I don't really know. We need to now swap his weapon over, so we'll grab that weapon and we'll swap his artifacts over to, I believe, full Pale Flames is his best bet. So let's hope I have a good Pale Flame set lying around. That piece is actually really nice. That one less so. Ooh, but onset physical is rolling into ER again. Please stop it. Crit rate, crit damage. Okay, crit damage. More crit rate, sure. And we don't have a Pale Flame circlet, and I definitely don't want to run that. I got 2 condensed resin. Let's go do a run of Pale Flame. I don't imagine we'll see a good piece here, but if we can get a crit damage or crit rate circlet, that's probably the most likely over a good attack percent sans. I don't imagine physical is going to do very much because physical is not the best reaction in the world, but maybe I will be surprised. Probably not though, I've never been surprised by physical damage. Well, no Pale Flame pieces there, but we do have one last option. I have 19 of the Sanctifying Elixirs, which is plenty. Probably Circlet will be the cheapest, I'd say, or not apparently. Attack percent sans, double crit, defense EM, not perfect, but hopefully it just rolls only into the crits. Yeah, I mean, it could have been better. There's no crit rate on it, but that's fine. We will just run a crit rate circlet, which means we have 1,800 attack, 64 to 134. Yeah, it could be better, but the 64 will get boosted up to 80-ish. It's 64.9, so round it up to 65. So yeah, 80 crit rate to 134. Could definitely use some more crit damage, but that's fine because I wasn't expecting physical to do too much anyway. So let's go back to the boss we've been testing on, and I'll see what physical can do. Although I will need to remember the right rotation of his burst or skill or whatever to do physical. So I think my rotation is going to be a little bit of cryo. I'm gonna chuck down Charlotte and then do that, hit some superconduct, and then boom, physical, and boom. 25,000. I mean, that's not too bad. 12,000s, 16,000s. During his skill, we see the same amount. 8,000, 10,000, and yeah, 20,000. Honestly, not too bad. I don't know what I was expecting because I never use physical. Now, I don't know if his burst is going to increase that damage at all, but we've got it up, so we might as well try this out with his burst now. We do that. Boom, boom, boom. 27,000. 8,000, 25,000. Yeah, okay, a little bit more damage from that. Not as much damage as the cryo-based teams. I mean, for whatever reason, if I need a physical DPS, Freminet can do an okay-ish amount of damage there. Obviously, none of those supports are really buffing his physical at all. The only thing we've got buffing physical is the superconduct and Charlotte just being there for extra crit rate. But then we don't really have anyone else in our list that could buff physical damage. If it wasn't a Fontaine only account, I could throw on Mika and that would buff physical a little bit, but he's from Mondstadt, which in case you didn't know is not Fontaine. But yeah, I mean, could have been worse. 48,000 I think was the biggest damage I saw overall. And then we got like 27,000s from the physical, some 30,000s and 20,000s from the cryo normal attacks. So yeah, not bad actually. It is a lot more damage than we were doing last time I built Freminet, so that is a bonus. And considering on that video, there was a few comments saying that that was actually a pretty good Freminet build. This Freminet must be like insane if I'm doing 4 times the amount of damage I did in that last video. With that being said, that is all I'm going to have time for in this video. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you like this video, do go check out the first Freminet building video I did. And with that being said, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good? Bye.